I hope y'all are prepared for a very, very short video. This will probably be the shortest video I do in this project. I don't know, the next one's kind of short too. But anyways, we're moving on to the eyes. And we're moving on to ISIS's icy eyes. For the record, ISIS is the name of a person in this instance, not the terrorist organization that survives, that exists. I see ISIS icy eyes. I see ISIS icy eyes. I see ISIS's icy eyes. Ice chips, and ice chip ships. Ice chips, and ice chip ships. Ice chips, ice chips, and ice chip ships. Ice chips, ice chips, and ice chips, ice chips, and ice chip ships. Ice chips, ice chips, and ice chip chips. Ice chips, ice chips, and ice chip. Ice chips, ice chips, and ice chip ships. Ice chips, ice chips, and ice chip ship. And since I have a 10-minute limit and I only have one more tongue twister at this, I'm going to try to get this one right, so it might take me a little while. Ice chips, and ice chip ships. Ice chips, and ice chip ships. Or not. I'm guessing this is ISIS? I don't know. I thought ISIS was a girl's name, but what do I know? Can you imagine an imaginary menagerie? Managing an imaginary menagerie. Hold up, what? Can you imagine an imaginary menagerie, manager imagining a Can you imagine an imaginary menagerie, manager imagining managing an Can you imagine an imaginary menagerie, manager imagining managing an imaginary menagerie? I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that word correctly. Can you imagine a imaginary menagerie, manager imagining imagining? Can you imagine a imaginary manager, manager imagining managing an imaginary menagerie? Can you imagine a imaginary Can you imagine a imaginary menagerie, manager imagining managing? Can you imagine a imaginary manager managing manage? Can you imagine an imaginary menagerie, manager imagining managing an imaginary menagerie? Can you imagine Can you imagine an imaginary menagerie, manager imagining managing an imaginary menagerie? Can you imagine an imaginary menagerie, Can you imagine Can you imagine an imaginary menagerie, manager imagining managing an imaginary imaginary? Can you imagine an imaginary menagerie, manager imagining managing an imaginary menagerie? Can you imagine Can you imagine? See, I can get it once, but once I get to the second time, it's just like Can you imagine the imaginary menagerie manager? Can you imagine the Can you imagine the imaginary menagerie manager imagining Can you imagine the menagerie? Can you imagine the imaginary menagerie manager Can you imagine the Can you imagine the imaginary menagerie manager imagining managing an imaginary menagerie? Can you imagine the imaginary menagerie manager imagining managing an imaginary menagerie? I don't know if I can imagine that 'cause I don't even know if I'm pronouncing menagerie correct or menagerie, however you say it. But anything's possible with your imagination. Do you have the ability to imagine and stuff? And since this was a fairly short video, I don't want it to be like 3.5 minutes, I suppose I can do a little bit more talking. Let's see here. No, I don't have anything to say. I'm sorry. I already did the update video earlier, so there really is nothing else to say. So, well, I'm sorry about a very short video, but hey, for those of you who are sick and tired of hearing my voice, you don't have to hear it for long. And also, if you're sick and tired of hearing my voice, feel free to hit that dislike button. Yeah, that's strange. How many people do you see advertising hitting dislike buttons on your channel? I'm just saying. Anyways, I hope y'all have a great day. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you guys in the next part where I take on the Jays. So, see y'all later. This is Joseph K signing out. Goodbye.